Investing in stocks or real estate, which is the right one for you? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. So stick around at the end or even throughout the video. I'm also going to mention the 5 stocks that I like the best and go into them a little bit. I'm not going to go directly into dividend stocks because I've done that in other videos, but today's is just going to be about which is better for you, investing in real estate or stocks, and then a follow up with my 5 favorite stocks. Good morning. My name is Adam Kahn, and I'm the Rational Investor. I hope you're all doing well today. Today is Thursday, October 9th. I hope you're enjoying the day. It's beautiful out here in Las Vegas. Before I get into stocks versus real estate or real estate versus stocks, do me a favor. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and feel free to make comments. Tell me what you guys think. What fits better for you? When you hit that like or subscribe button, it actually helps YouTube's analytics or their algorithm, and it helps other people find the channel as well. I'm really enjoying YouTube, and I really appreciate how many of you guys have signed up and everything else. But I find this stuff interesting. I always have liked to teach. I hope that people are getting some value out of it. And if it helps grow the channel, it's really cool, and I really appreciate that. Also, I'm going to put a couple of links in the description for opening an account at SoFi. I have an account with my son. When you click on the links, if you deposit $10 or more, you're going to get a free gift of $25 from SoFi. And I think there's other opportunities for even more. And they give a little gift to my son. He's 13 years old. I like teaching him this stuff as well, and he gets super excited about it. So I appreciate the support and the kindness, and it's really cool. And SoFi is a good platform. Like I said, I use it myself as well. So, which is better for you, stocks or real estate? And what are the advantages and disadvantages of both? And look, everything is a good advantage. Is the Yeah, I'll leave that in there. I mean, we all make mistakes. Everything is a good investment. I don't want to say one is better or worse. It really fits you and what you need in your life. And you guys need to do your own research on what's best for you. I'm just sharing what's worked for me and what I've had an experience in my life. So I hope that helps you guys. Real estate's always been my true love. I like investing in general, but I can remember when I was a young kid and I went to visit somebody in Colorado and asking my parents about investing out there. And it's just weird how I've always gravitated towards real estate. Well, one of the advantages, and it's also a disadvantage, so you have to pay attention to this closely, is the leverage that you get with real estate versus stocks. So typically when you buy a home, if it's an investment property, you're going to be putting down 20 or 25% of the house and borrowing the rest. Well, by borrowing the rest, you're leveraging that investment. And let's use 25%. Well, you're borrowing essentially 4 times total of what you've invested in it. So if you're buying a $400,000 home, you may only have to put up $100,000. If that $400,000 home goes up 3% in value, right, which is pretty reasonable, it doesn't go up a ton, but you've gone from 400 to $412,000. If you put up $100,000 on that, well, your 100,000 in equity is now 112,000 from the house going up 3%. Now, keep in mind, you'll have closing costs, you'll have other things and everything else. So this is really simplistic. But that leverage allows you to get much better return on the actual investment of the home. Um, but leverage has risk to it. It means you've borrowed and you're taking on leverage, and when things go the other way, you're losing quickly as well. Now, if you're renting out the property and making a little on the rent versus what you're paying on the mortgage and everything else as well, plus all the tax benefits you get, if you're making additional funds, if the house goes up 3% and you're making a little on the rent, you're really getting really good return on that investment. One of the other things to keep in mind about rental properties, though, is it's not as passive as stocks. As I've gotten older, the reason I've moved more into stocks than rental properties is the passiveness. You know, I don't have to worry about an air conditioner breaking. I don't have to worry about when I lose a tenant finding a new one. Now, I still have real estate in my portfolio, And in fact, later today, I'm going to meet a prospective renter to rent one of our properties. And it it just has a little more work to it, but between the leverage and the rental income and everything else, if that property goes up a tiny bit, we really crush it, which is nice about real estate. What I touched on a little bit to me, which is nicer about stocks, is how passive it is. Now, again, I'm not going to talk too much about dividend stocks in this video, but if I'm looking for income and I'm comparing real estate versus stocks and dividend income, what I like about the stocks is not having to worry about anything outside of, as long as the company's doing okay and they're able to continue paying their dividend. Each quarter or month, depending on what investment I've made, they send the check automatically. I don't have to pay attention to, as I said earlier, the air conditioner, the tenant, or even little things, just a phone call because, they have a question about the power went down here and where's the fuse box or whatever it is. You can get a management company, but that eats into your profits. So that's what I really like about stocks as I've gotten older, is how easy it is to do. And both just take a little bit of research. And if you're watching this channel, I'm guessing you find this stuff interesting. And between YouTube and Google, or wherever you search, it's pretty easy to find information on both rental properties as well as stocks. Rental properties are fun because you sit down with a pen and paper, you do the math. Like, I like that stuff, and I like seeing if it makes sense to me in terms of the investment. And even with the higher prices and the higher rates, depending on where you live, because real estate's really localized, there's still really good opportunity for investment properties. I think where I live currently, the prices and the interest rates don't make as much sense as they used to. But I look all over the country and I've seen places that it still does, and I can't help but be me and think, geez, maybe I should look out there and see if I find a property. I just try to keep reminding myself that I'm getting older, and my son may not really feel like going across country to look at properties or check on them or things like that, and my wife sure wouldn't either. So I've moved towards stocks more than the real estate over the years. But you guys have to decide for you, like, which do you like? That's part of it too. There was an enjoyment and there's a pride of ownership in homes. Like, I don't just buy where I get the best return. I buy areas I like. And if I look to buy in other states or places, I'd actually start looking for places I might like to visit as well, as silly as that is, because it's an excuse to go there. Now let's get into my 5 favorite stocks. And these are in no order. They really are just my 5 favorite right now. Um, 3 of them have nothing to do with price. Well, 2 of them have nothing to do with price at all. I just love the companies. And I'm not saying they're a bargain right now or anything else. I tend to try to dollar cost average and not pay too much attention to where it is today. I can't help it because I used to be a commodities trader, so I still do look into that. And I think some of them are bargains, which is why I included those. But the reality is, you just never know. And the information that we receive, like, we're so far down the chain of good information. I don't want to say you have to ignore it, but you have to take it with a grain of salt. You have to pay attention to the price movements, and if you're really looking for a deal, or buying something expensive, more than the news that surrounds it. And I find when things don't make sense to the news, that gives me more information than anything else. If good news comes out and the stock doesn't go higher, I have to question why it didn't go higher and start to worry, like, maybe it won't continue. But to be fair, I try to buy stocks and own them for a minimum of 5 years, if not 10 or 20. So I totally ignore the short term moves because I know over 20 years, if you pick 10 good companies, you should do just fine. So let's start with the ones that, well, the one in particular that I just think the value right here is really cheap, and I've mentioned it in a lot of videos, which is Target. I think real estate, I think retail is out of favor right now. On top of the fact that Target had the issues with closing some stores because they were having too much theft. But I keep scratching my head thinking, well, first of all, they pay close to a 5% dividend or foreign change. Second of all, if they just closed stores that weren't making money, their profits should be better. And their price to earning ratios are really reasonable as it is. If they hit their targets of how quickly they expect to grow, Like, it doesn't make sense where their stock is. Again, you have to do your own research. Don't listen to me. I'm not guaranteeing anything. It just looks that way. And it's also why I say we're really far down the chain. The information might not be accurate. Maybe there's information going on at the company that isn't so great, and that's why the stock's really down. But I've owned enough stocks over so many years to just notice that they have ups and downs, and they tend to get out of favor and then back into favor. Again, there can be other things going on that are a little bit more serious, but Target's a pretty good company. I think they have a good online presence. I think they compete with others. And me personally, I would rather shop at Target than Walmart. Now, and I think they're both good companies, so nothing against either. I just like that one and think it's really well valued here. So I don't have problem owning it for a nice long time and seeing how it does. The next stock that I picked for my top five is Starbucks. And the main reason I picked Starbucks, which is really easy after their earnings came out and they did really well, but I compare it to McDonald's of the new generation. And I've told a story in the other video of I was fortunate enough to get a little bit of money when I was in high school. And back in the early 90s, or late 80s actually, put $2,000 or $2,200 into McDonald's. I don't still have all of those shares, but if I did, it would be worth over $250,000 today. Now we're talking about 40 years later, right? From 90, 2000, 2010, 2012, so 30 some odd years later. But I feel it was an established company then. It wasn't some new company that was just coming up. There were lots of stories, even in the late 80s, of my grandmother put $1,000 into McDonald's and now she has millions of dollars. Well, I think of Starbucks the same way. Like, they're an established company that the kids go to. I picture them still here in 30 or 40 years and just grown bigger. And I don't really know how. I just figure they do, whether that's expanding into other countries or raising their prices as inflation moves along. They also have a small dividend, but they increase it rather quickly in terms of a percentage of the increases on the dividend. So I love Starbucks and think it's a great 10-year holding. And I'm not too concerned that it's already moved a little bit from where it was. I still think it's a good opportunity. And maybe if I didn't already own it, I'd buy a little here. And if it dropped lower, I'd buy a little more. Like, that's my way of investing in the companies I just love. I really don't try to time them so well. Target example, to me, that's the timing. I could totally be wrong on it, but it looks cheap to me. Number three in my list is Meta, Facebook, formerly Facebook. Uh, Facebook has a really good valuation. It's one of the few tech stocks that seems to crush it on earnings, and their price to earnings for the speed that they grow seems really reasonable to me. I think part of that is people almost like to hate Mark Zuckerberg, and man, he's done incredible. That stock makes a lot of money. And then let's talk about, they own Instagram, they own WhatsApp, they own Oculus, and they also own this other one that you guys might know of, which is called Giphy. You know, those little characters and stuff. They also own a whole bunch of other companies as well, but I like that they own all this stuff. They're a really good company. And I might be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure they haven't even monetized WhatsApp yet. But they have a huge amount of people who use it. So I got to think that once they figure ways to start monetizing on that, that's just going to be one more avenue like Instagram that they just crush it. But I think Meta is such a great value right here. It's one of my personal biggest. I think it is my biggest holding by a good amount. Um, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't keep going. Like I said, you need to do your own research, but that is probably my favorite one in the group. But no, I like them all five of them. No, Meta might be my favorite. Anyway, I really like Meta. I think it's a great investment. You guys check it out. See if you like it too. Tell me what you think. And if you like it or you don't like it, that's all cool with me. The fourth one that I'm going to talk about is another big monster like Meta, which is Amazon. Now, to be fair, I don't try to pick diamonds in the rough too often. I don't try to pick that next company that's going to be whatever you think it's going to be. Since my experience when I was a kid and the way that what happened with McDonald's, I really try to pick established companies that I think have a good hold on their area and they're the best of the best, because I think they'll continue to thrive and they'll continue to expand. Amazon's another one of those. And Amazon owns what? Whole Foods. They own Zappos. They own Twitch. They own MGM Holdings, which helps them with their Prime and things like that. And then they have a whole bunch of, I think they have over 70 companies as well. So these are great companies that have a whole lot of other companies in them as well. So if their main source of revenue starts struggling, I mean, what's it? Amazon services, the web services, is growing at an immense pace, and they're even working on their own chips to compete with Nvidia. I don't know that they'll be able to. I don't know how that works, but these companies, they're growing quickly. They're building their infrastructure. They're the strongest in their area as far as I'm concerned. So I love Amazon. It's one of my top five, and you guys should check too, see what you think, find your own research, and let me know. Is Amazon one of the ones you guys like or you don't like it? And I'm saving this one for last because you are watching me on the company that owns it, which is Google, GOOG or GOOGL. I'm not sure how they delineate which is which. I know one has voting rights and the other doesn't. But Google is awesome, and they are like just this truck moving down the highway, consistently growing. They have their Google search engine, which is what we all know them for, but they own YouTube, Fitbit, Nest is part of Google, and Waze, the one that they use for the traffic and stuff that my brother lives by. Google just continues to grow, and they have such a widespread on other industries that they're investing in. If I remember right, they even have this one for college kids that you can take a picture of a question, and it uses AI, but it's not completely, that it helps give the answer, but not in a way that it just gives the answer. It helps to teach you. It's super cool. Like I love Google. I love YouTube. I mean, really, since I found it, I watch my son. I don't even think he knows who NBC and CBS and like he has no idea about the TV channels that I grew up with. He just knows of YouTube. He watches all of his shows and his content. It's not even necessarily shows. And he watches stuff like he watches these history shows that remind me of what Schoolhouse Rock was when I was a kid, but that was more of a commercial. These are like these 10, 15, 20-minute videos that are super entertaining ways of learning about history. He's learned about Napoleon, and he learned about Genghis Khan. He worried about Genghis Khan and how he fought with his brother. Like it's super cool, and I love seeing how he uses YouTube. And since Google owns YouTube, I just see that as growing and growing. And so Google, I would think, could continue to grow. Same thing. Let me know what you think of Google. Let me know what you think of the other four ones. Let me know if you guys have your top companies and where you put money. I'm sure I'll do another dividend stock one eventually because I'm a bit of a dividend junkie. I don't necessarily think dividend stocks are the best to invest in. I just know my own discipline, and the ups and downs in the market impact me, and I worry that I'd sell at the wrong time and things like that. So if I collect dividends, it eases all of that. Anyway, do me a favor. Again, I know I said it in the beginning. If you've lasted this long, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. But if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, maybe share it with somebody who you think would find it interesting, and have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.